So the Nintendo Switch is the third best-selling game console of all time, far ahead of current names like the PlayStation 5, which on this chart is way down here. But even despite this popularity, no game console lasts forever, and the Switch at this point in time is nearly 7 years old. And due to that, the sales of the current Switch are plunging down 22%, and we have articles like this going over the potential news rumors of a successor to the current Switch. So the plan for today is to go over some of this news and identify what exactly this next generation console is and when it might hit the market. Now, I want to begin with this chart of all of Nintendo's consoles over the past 20 years. Way back in the beginning, we have names like the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, the Wii, and more currently, we have the Switch. And as popular as the current Switch is, the most popular console from Nintendo ever is the DS back in the late 2000s. They sold a whopping 150 million units, but even this super popular and legendary device had a lifespan, and it eventually died, and the same thing will happen to the current Nintendo Switch despite its popularity. And according to the finances of the company, this plunge in sales due to just the oldness of the device is already happening. So last year, the company sold just shy of 18 million units, and that's down from 23 million units in 2022, giving you that 22% decline. And the projection for 2024 is even lower at 15 million units. And we can also see this visually on a chart. The revenue for the Switch is beginning to drop in the same way it's done for every other console, including popular ones like the DS. And I gotta say, above all else, all the other rumors, leaks, this precipitous drop in sales is the number one reason we expect Nintendo to hit the market with a new console sooner rather than later. Console sales is a huge source of revenue for Nintendo as a company, and they simply can't allow this to fall off a cliff without doing anything about it. So they must come out with a new console rather soon to boost sales and revitalize the growth of the company. Now, when it comes to the actual release date, the current best guess is the second half of 2024, more likely than not the holiday season. So Nintendo has previously ruled out releasing a new console before the end of March 2024, and it now has games scheduled throughout the summer of this year. In an October 2023 interview with the president of Nintendo, they said the company would remain focused on the Switch until the end of Nintendo's current fiscal year in March of 2024, and added that it will continue to support the Switch with new titles in the following fiscal year. The key point here is the shift in language from focus to support in regards to the Switch, which would imply that the end of 2024, the holiday season, would be a great window for a new console. And considering the falling sales of the current Nintendo Switch, they really can't afford to wait much longer for the release of a new console. Now, when it comes to the capabilities and the performance of this next generation console, the best current estimate is somewhere in between the current generation PlayStation 5 and the previous PlayStation 4. Now, to some people, that's going to sound very disappointing that this new next generation console is only going to have, at best, the same performance as the current PlayStation 5. But you got to remember that Nintendo doesn't target enthusiasts. They target the everyday consumer, which doesn't really need the latest cutting edge specs. They just want to have a good experience playing their favorite games without spending too much money on a physical device. After all, remember the current Nintendo Switch OLED model is only $350, but this still will be a huge improvement over the current generation Nintendo Switch, which uses the NVIDIA Tegra X1 processor. This is based off of an ancient 20 nanometer fabrication process, and on benchmarks, this scores below older phone chips like the Snapdragon 653. So yeah, being brought up to almost current generation performance is going to be a huge deal for Nintendo, and I wouldn't be surprised if they toss in some AI enhancements to give you better frame rates. Now, the final major question mark here is the physical form factor of this console. So is this going to be a portable handheld gaming console like the Switch, or are they going to go in a completely different direction? Well, if you come back to this graph and take a look at the history of Nintendo consoles, the company has had the most success with these portable handheld devices. The Switch is only the latest in a long line of popular devices like the Game Boy and the Nintendo DS. And more broadly speaking, the category of handheld gaming PCs is relatively new and growing rapidly. Think names like the Steam Deck OLED, the ROG Ally, and the Lenovo Legion Go, along with many more about to hit the market. I would say the next major leap here is going to be with VR gaming consoles, but right now that's not where technology is. We're still in the handheld portable gaming arena. So for all those reasons, it's highly likely that the next generation console from Nintendo will be building upon the success of the current Nintendo Switch, keeping a similar format. That would be the safe and smart choice for the company. And as of right now, that is the latest thinking on the upcoming new console from Nintendo. Physically, it should be similar to the current Switch, a portable handheld gaming device, building upon the success of the current Switch, as well as just the momentum in the industry moving in that direction. The performance should be close to or on par with current generation consoles like the PlayStation 5, and the release date is most likely going to be at the end of this year during the holiday season. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you guys are still watching and enjoyed, I appreciate a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.